The last two main characters on the show are Applejack and Rainbow Dash, two ponies who have an appreciation for roughhousing, athletics, and competition. Applejack works at her family farm, planting and harvesting apples for the hungry mouths of Ponyville. She's diligent, caring, basically the big sister of the group, who tends to keep a level head during high-strung situations.
Hold on! I'm a-comin'!
She has been known, however, to overexert herself and turn down help because of her sense of pride.
Are you saying my mouth is making promises my legs can't keep?
Yep.
Applejack would rather take on a problem all on her own than ask for help from her friends.
How many times do I gotta say it? I don't need no help from no pony!
Rainbow Dash is not as level-headed as her Earthbound compadre. She's brash, a little reckless, but has a good heart.
Sorry, new trick.
She will stay loyal to her friends no matter the situation.
That was awesome! Awesome? My friends could have been smashed to pieces.
And rise to any challenge. Dragons, manticores. Bring forth a true opponent! Never mind. Just like Pinkie Pie and Fluttershy, both Applejack and Rainbow Dash are voiced by the same actor, Ashley Ball. Unlike the other VAs mentioned before, Ashley's relatively new to the industry, but she has had her own fair share of parts to play. Johnny Test, Strawberry Shortcake, and of course My Little Pony. Also, it's worth mentioning that she has her own band called Hey Ocean, so she isn't just a voice actor, but a singer too. That is it for the main pony cast, but we cannot forget to mention Twilight's faithful assistant, Spike the Dragon.
I'm a dragon!
Spike lives with Twilight at the library and does chores. Cleaning, cooking, delivery. He's basically a butler. A butler with a bedtime.
Because I can just stay up all night and finish...
But he's more than just a servant. Twilight and Spike share a brother and sister relationship. She watches out for him, and he watches out for her.
Snap out of it!
He can be sarcastic at times, and a bit full of himself too.
That is why you are my #1 assistant.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
But he's an overall nice guy, who truly cares for his pony family. Despite being a dude, Spike is actually voiced by a woman, and that would be the talented Kathy Westluck. She has been voice acting since 1986, and has been involved in over 100 shows. Some of the more notable ones include Black Lagoon, Cyber 6, Dragon Ball Z, and a slew of other English dubbed animes. She is also an experienced voice instructor and director. Wait a second. She was a part of G3 as well? And My Little Ponytails? Huh, how about that? But these are just 5 of the many talented VAs who work on the show. Others include Andrew Francis, Lee Tokar, Nicole Oliver, Peter New, Brenda Critchlow, Michelle Krieber, Clara Corlett, and Maddie Peters. Each one does a phenomenal job as they bring to life their characters in a unique and vivid way. Unlike G1 and G3, Lauren wanted the 4th generation of My Little Pony to have a diverse cast. Ponies who have different personalities, strengths, and weaknesses. In return, they would have to lean and depend on each other. And that makes for fantastic storytelling, which is arguably the most appealing aspect of the show. My Little Pony was nearing completion, and the Hub's marketing team was hard at work trying to promote all their new shows for the channel's launch. MLP was popping up on billboards and posters, and eventually made its way to the internet. The chatter about the reboot for the series was relatively small, and remained that way until the show made its debut, on October 10th, 2010. After months of hard work around the clock, the cartoon was complete, and was ready to be shown to the world. All that time, all that effort, everything that Lauren had envisioned and hoped for was about to be put to the test. She was prepared to face the critics for better or worse, and to see where this generation of the series would take her. But what ended up happening was something no one saw coming, and that was the rise of the Brony. Reviews were popping up all over the web, and were giving their opinion about the new generation of My Little Pony. Some were positive, and stated that the show was entertaining and fun for parents and their kids. Others, though, were harder to impress, and some were just downright insulting. Take Kathleen Richter, writer for Ms. Magazine, for example. She wrote an article for her site about MLP called My Little Homophobic, Racist, Smart Shamming Pony. Needless to say, She did not think very highly of the cartoon, and thought it to be racist, sexist, and had little to no redeeming value with the lessons the show taught. Lauren actually responded to this article, and said that Kathleen was overanalyzing and assuming way too much. And apparently, Kathleen had never even watched an actual episode of the show. She based it on a clip, and wrote her article from that alone. As Lauren said, give the entire show a chance, and you may be pleasantly surprised. Unlike Kathleen, many other people gave MLP a fair shot, and discovered that the cartoon was fantastic. Their expectations were surpassed, and the curse that followed My Little Pony for so long was finally lifted. All of the hard work from Lauren and her team paid off. They brought life to a franchise that was void of creativity. Yet this wasn't the only thing they brought life to. Strangely enough, the majority of the approval for Generation 4 did not come from children or their parents. It was from older teenagers and 20-year-olds, and most of them were guys. To Lauren's surprise, the show was so well made and entertaining that it ended up being admired by a group of most unexpected fans.
When it first, My Little Pony, when it first started in the 80s, it really was about, you know, we're gonna hawk this merchandise to kids. And if you watch Friendship is Magic, you don't really get that vibe at all. And that's really cool that they felt that they should step up their game and put the effort in when they really didn't have to. It was gonna, you know, the little girls were gonna buy the toys either way.
It's a show about colorful ponies meant for, you know, little girls, and yet everyone in this community is watching it. You know, it has to be something really special in order for it to catch this much attention, you know.
Since its creation, the My Little Pony franchise has always had young girls in mind, but that was no longer the case. Generation 4 was able to catch the attention of this unlikely group of older fans.
Being an old school comic book cartoon guy, I was immediately drawn by the animation, which was much better. In fact, I didn't even know it was Flash until someone told me that's Flash. Flash, really?
And I know it seems, I mean, so many people say, oh, the animation is great, but it really is, especially when you consider that this is Flash animation and just the amount of tender loving care that they put into really making these characters emote. And when the characters emote, we care. And when we care, then we get invested. And I think that can be really hard to pull off with that kind of medium.
I was very impressed by the fact that they adopted very realistic movement for the characters into stylized proportions. I was very impressed with how smooth it was, how balanced it was. The animation was fantastic.
The way the characters moved, the emotions, the ability to kind of express so much in terms of storytelling just through the characters and how they're interacting before our eyes.
I was initially struck by the animation, I think is what is pretty common. Everyone says, I mean, because you see like when you realize later the people who worked on it, you see the common threads and you go, oh, that's why I like it.
Animation wasn't the show's only strong point, as it had equally excellent storytelling that was appealing to the entire audience.
I don't know, I think mostly it's just the sense of humor and how clever it is that really keeps me hooked. You know, season 1, it was just so tight. The dialogue was tight, the character interaction was really just like, everything was just so well-groomed and well-placed, and it's just so clever. You know, it's not banging you over the head with how funny it's trying to be, it just ends up being funny because it's good.
It looks just like yours. Oh my.
That nest needs to be condemned.
Oh, Spike. That's not so bad. Maybe the birds can use it as
an outhouse.
When you watch, you get the sense of everyone's having fun. You can get that everyone who makes the show cares. There's quality in it that is part of the show, and it's just, you feel like there's an interaction between you and the show, especially when they're putting in Easter eggs here or there, and then when you get to talk to everyone in the community after watching the show, and then you find out all the stuff you missed, all the references and everything. It's there's so much about the show that is so much fun. It's hard to really boil it down to one thing, but I love the interaction that they have between the viewers and the show.
It's always fun to see what sort of interesting references they put in there. I think that draws a big audience. I know that I sat my mother down and we watched it at one point, and she caught the Gone with the Wind reference that Rarity makes.
And Celestia is my witness. I shall never be sisterless again.
You know, that put a smile on her face. Also the I Love Lucy little sketch that they did in the last roundup. And it's little things like that, though, that are kind of like the icing on the top and really make it just such a joy to watch.
The characters in Friendship is Magic were neither shallow nor two-dimensional, but actually had substance to them.
There are lots of very good characters. They're well written and they're diverse, and you can find at least little bits of each of them in yourself.
The characters really appeal to me because they're also likable. Like, they're realistic. Like, I've known people in high school like, oh, Rarity, why you act like that? Oh, Twilight, why you always gotta study? Oh, Applejack, oh, you always gotta work. I've known people like that, especially Shy One, like Fluttershy. I kind of was like that.
Regardless of the reasons listed, the fact remained. This generation of My Little Pony was genuinely good, and that came as a shock to many of these older viewers.
I babysit kids who saw the G3 thing. That was just brain painful, and like my niece used to watch that and the Princess Promenade. I was just like, what is this? What is this? I will never ever watch this stuff. And then little did I know, 1 year later, God, I love this stuff.
Maybe, maybe it has a charm that can't really be described. Maybe it's better than the sum of its parts. Maybe it's because we have preconceived notions about what My Little Pony is supposed to be, which is to say, a cartoon that does nothing but sell toys. And the fact that we're getting something that's more than that at all is what makes us enjoy it.
It's a good pick-me-up and just kind of helps balance out like the pressures of normal life to just kind of, every Saturday you get 22 minutes of just like good feeling and nothing's gonna mess that up.
Despite the show's success, not every person shared the same sentiment for this new series of My Little Pony. There were even some who believed that Friendship is Magic was a sign of decay in the animation industry. Author Midamidi of CartoonBrew.com made this claim in his article that was titled The End of the Creative-Driven Era. Amid said in his review that My Little Pony was an indicator that cartoons were officially on the decline and were selling out in order to make toys and money. That any passion that was left in modern-day cartoons had disappeared due to weak production staffs and controlling companies. Such wild accusations about the show and cartoons in general really worried some users of a certain website, the Co-Board from 4chan. All the hype and chatter about this article and the cartoon in question found its way over to Co, where it then became very popular. 4chan, for those who don't know, is a notorious image board website that has been around since 2003. It was created by a fellow named Christopher Moot Poole. The site has over 48 boards with various topics like anime and video games. The site is incredibly popular and has quite the reputation on the internet for being rude, harsh, and raw. When it comes to 4chan, anybody can quite literally say anything, and for the most part not worry about the repercussions, since they appear as anonymous. Some 4chan users have been acknowledged as hackers, and this is semi-true. It isn't too uncommon to see raiding parties on other targeted websites. It's a metaphorical double-edged sword, and one that has been swung towards both extremes. On one end, they have hacked corporate and government websites, and on the other hand, they have tracked down and reported child pornography enthusiasts and producers to the FBI. 4chaners are sporadic, and it's quite difficult to pin down their precise motives. The site has also had quite the impact on internet culture. Many a meme and online joke can be traced back to the image board as the place of origin. This is the case for a lot of familiar internet icons, such as lolcats, rickrolling, and in our case, My Little Pony. Despite its dark side, 4chan is an extremely impressive website. It is a testament to the power of coordination and the strength of numbers rallied via the internet. The site has left its mark on cyberspace and has earned a spot in the Internet Hall of Fame. The reputation of 4chan precedes it, and is definitely alive and well today. It can be cruel, it can be harsh, and it can be downright insulting. Yet this was the playing field for the first batch of fans for My Little Pony. Here, they took their first steps towards becoming an online phenomenon.